To get the most out of a plugin like the Abbey Road Studer J37, you really do need to be familiar with the technology of analog tape machines. Since I know a lot of people have come up in the digital era and may not have had much opportunity, or any opportunity for that matter, to actually work with tape, I'm including this brief primer on the non-linearities of analog tape recorders, which are reproduced in this plugin in all their analog glory. If you're an old hand with tape, you can just skip ahead to the next section. But if your recording experience is strictly digital, this stuff might help you have a better understanding of what to expect from the various controls and options in the J37 plugin. Analog tape consists of a strip of magnetic particles held together by a collection of chemical substances. On a blank piece of tape, these magnetic particles are arranged randomly. The tape is wound onto reels and pulled by motors past 3 tape heads. There's an erase head, a record head, and a playback head. The record head is fed a varying voltage, like from a live source, and converts it into a varying magnetic field. Positive and negative voltage swings become alternating north and south magnetic polarities. As the tape passes that head, the magnetic particles on it are remagnetized to follow the shape of the original sound wave. The remagnetized particles retain their new state, and this is the physical form of the magnetic tape recording. In playback, the tape, with these magnetized particles that describe the audio signal, is pulled past the playback head. The transfer from magnetism to voltage happens in reverse, and a varying voltage is recreated at the output of the playback head. The magnetic audio signal from the tape is now a voltage ready to be sent through a console and monitored through amp and speakers. That process has worked remarkably well for years, throughout the heyday of the recording industry. But ironically, it's the imperfections and limitations of magnetic tape recording, its non-linearities, that give rise to tape's continuing popularity in the digital age, and are the reason for this plugin. Just as with all analog audio, the signal remains relatively clean and true to the original wave shape until levels exceed maximum operating levels. Then, the tops and bottoms of the audio wave are gradually flattened, clipped, distorting the original shape of the wave. If a wave continues to increase in amplitude after this point is reached, then 2 things will happen. The resulting clipped wave will fail to increase in level, compressing the signal. And the change in the wave shape will change the harmonic spectrum of the wave, adding harmonics, which constitutes audible harmonic distortion of the wave. Now, when this happens in digital recording, the clipping is not gradual, but abrupt. The result is a sudden onset of nasty, spiky sound, unsuitable for anything but special effects. But the cool thing about analog tape is, when this same limitation is reached, the wave is gradually compressed and distorted. In small quantities, this will actually enhance the sound, making it thicker and fatter in a good way, and giving it more presence. Eventually, it'll become too much and sound nasty, but in just the right small amounts, the result is a uniquely warm, fat, present sound that's hard to simulate by other means. This compression and distortion of the wave, from the overloading of analog tape, is called tape saturation, and for years, engineers have deliberately sent audio signals into the red on their tape machines' meters to achieve this highly desirable quality. It's especially popular as a technique for achieving a nice fat acoustic drum sound. The saturation point is determined by the formulation of the magnetic tape, the limited density of the magnetic particles, and the tape heads and electronics of the tape machine itself, which affect the process of transferring the signal from electrical form to magnetic form and back. The J37 plugin gives you control over not only how much of this saturation effect you want, but also the quality of the effect by emulating 3 different tape formulations that EMI developed in-house specifically for use with their J37s. But there's more to the analog sound of any tape recorder, including the J37. Irregularities in the speed of the motors that pull the tape past the heads introduce artifacts called wow and flutter. Since tape speed affects pitch, these nonlinearities would introduce subtle pitch variations to the signal. Wow would be slow pitch variations, flutter would be faster variations. In a poorly maintained machine, these could result in a kind of seasick, out-of-tune quality. but in very small quantities, it's almost like a little gentle modulation, like you get with chorusing. And in just the right degree, this can contribute a very subtle sense of animation and liveliness to the signal. Waves has even gone to the length of modeling the less desirable aspects of tape, the dreaded background hiss present in all tape recordings, just in case, for whatever reason, you wanted that nth degree of realism. Now, as I go through the J37 plugin's controls and options in the next chapter, you'll see how they let you adjust these aspects of the simulated tape saturation and the other subtle artifacts that impart that classic analog sound.